Hello, I'm James Humphreys. I've been working on clover research here on Solihead Farm for the last 10 years. The reason for this research, or the background for it, is the capacity of white clover to fix atmospheric nitrogen and make it available for plant growth, for grass growth in the soil. Fertiliser nitrogen is one of our most important inputs in Irish grassland to grow grass. But over the last decade, fertiliser has become increasingly expensive, and this increases the interest in using clover on farms. We have a graph here showing the change in the cost of fertiliser relative to milk price over the last 10 years or so, over the last 20 years, and we can see here in the mid-90s the cost of fertiliser. Basically what this graph is telling us, a farmer had to sell around 1.5 litres of milk to buy 1 kilo of fertiliser nitrogen, whereas in recent years farmers had to sell up to 3.5 litres of milk to buy 1 kilo of nitrogen. The cost of energy will continue to rise. This will drive up the cost of fertiliser in future years, and this will increase the attractiveness of clover as an option on farms. As I said, we've been working on different systems of dairy-based production based on white clover or fertiliser nitrogen over the last 10 years. We can see the green dots here are the level of production that we can get at different stocking rates, different levels of milk production at different stocking rates from the clover. Here are the green dots. Some of those green dots are hidden by the blue dots, which is fertiliser nitrogen input. And generally speaking, with the fertiliser we can carry higher stocking rates on the farm. Here in the past where we're using very high levels of nitrogen fertiliser. So what we conclude from this is that with clover we carry lower stocking rates, generally speaking. But of course, with that there's a lower cost of fertiliser nitrogen associated with that. So we recently conducted an economic evaluation of the systems that we have been running here, and we can see here the net margin with different inputs of fertiliser. Here are our clover systems, where we put in a certain amount of fertiliser nitrogen in the spring, and here are our fertiliser systems. And basically what this graph is showing us, even with the year-to-year in variation in the profitability, which will depend on different weather conditions. You know, we get good years and bad years, so we get variation in the profitability. That taking all these things into account, that clover can be competitive or get the same level of net margin as fertilised grass systems. So there are many advantages of having white clover on farms. The primary one is that white clover, in association with bacteria that live on the roots of white clover, have the capacity to fix nitrogen and make that nitrogen available in the soil in the same way as you apply fertiliser to grow grass. White clover also has an advantage from the point of view it's got very high digestibility, but the primary advantage, as I said, is its capacity to supply nitrogen for growing grass. So all of the systems that we've looked at here on Solihead Farm have involved dairy production. We'd also surmise that similar advantages can be found on beef farms by making better use of clover.